Hi everyone, it's Master Gardener Bernie D. Lonay back with another edition of It's Not Work, It's Fun. You can kind of see me through this avocado tree here. Let's see, let's get this down a little bit further. Okay, so I started talking about Dawn soap the other day. It's not really an insecticide. The PCBs, and that stands for in Dawn soap and Lemon Joy. That's the other soap that people think possibly is a insecticide. They're not really insecticides. What I was talking about is way back in the late '80s, early '90s, even somewhat in the very very late '70s, people started talking about Dawn soap and Lemon Joy soap as safe organic insecticides. Well, they're really not insecticides. What it is the PCBs. Okay, PCP is phencyclidine. Okay, that's what it stands for. It's phencyclidine, and the last it's PC and then P, and the last P actually stands for. Some people say two different things. Phencyclidine proactive, and then phencyclidine proactivate. Okay, and these are the chemicals that are in there that actually cause the bubbles. All right. So, one of the things that people always ask is, why is it considered organic insecticidal soap? Well, because there's low amounts of PCPs. And no, you don't use Dawn soap. You shouldn't be using Dawn soap for. You can pour it on your plants, but some people say don't use it for this, that, and the other. I'm not really sure. I use it all the time. I like it. It says it has grease fighting power. Well, also people use Dawn soap to wash little tiny animals when they have oil on them and it breaks it up. One of the ways that Dawn soap and or Lemon Joy soap, dishwashing soap, actually managed to might be considered an insecticide is the bubbles will capture or encapsulate the eggs from flying aphids. Okay. And how that happens is they normally will surround the eggs and the eggs cannot hatch, they cannot get out. Well, when that happens, they also can't eat. And so that's how you get the fact that it might be considered a an insecticide. Okay, they don't really kill flying insects. This is just regular Dawn soap, right? I don't have any Lemon Joy. This is just regular Dawn soap. And what I used to do, well, I still do sometimes. How I learned about this is way way back when on my grandma and grandpa's farm back in Iowa, near Mason City, Iowa. And she would take the dishwashing soap and use it to water her vegetables outside. Now, they had well water, you had to pump it. Way back then, in the early 60s, you didn't have, they were far enough away, out in the country, that what would happen is, don't mind me, I'm watering some stuff as I'm talking here. All right. They would take what they had at their fingertips and they would use it to dump into the gardens. Like if there were vegetable scraps, they would bury the vegetable scraps so that the animals couldn't get them, like, say, the pigs couldn't get them and eat them and trample all over the vegetables. They would bury them around the plants. And as the vegetable scraps decayed, it created really good soil. Okay, I'm going to show you this avocado plant. I'm going to do an avocado demonstration here. You might see this avocado seed, this very, very ripe seed. It's on the end of a sharpened chopstick. You're supposed to use toothpicks. Couldn't find any, so I sharpened a couple of chopsticks. Okay, that's all right. We got a lot of those around here, and I'll use them to my benefit I'll make them look a little bit better than they are. All right. So what I'm saying is that sometimes when you use something like this, is it organically safe? To my opinion, yes, it is. It will, when you water, okay, I'm going to dump just a tiny, tiny bit in here. Trust me, folks, you don't need much. Just going to drop just a drop in there. And you dump it out on your plants. What it will do, it will make a film around the eggs that might be crawling in your soil. And they can't get out, so they stay there. They can't come to life. They stay there. They basically starve to death. And if there's something crawling in there, they still can't get out, and they basically will starve to death because of the PCP that's in there and these organic phosphates. And no, it doesn't stand, PCP doesn't stand for phosphates. Some people think it does. It stands for phencyclidine proactivate. Okay, that's what it stands for. Some people will say different. This is what I believe. This is what I found out. I did a lot of studies on this stuff. And I have to thank the people who listened to me when I was on Wisconsin Public Radio. A lot of them are coming up to me now, have seen the stuff on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and say, hey, that's you way back when. Yeah, well, I don't look the same. I'm a lot older now. But that's okay. They can say it however they want. And of course I've done thousands, literally thousands of episodes on Wausau Public Access TV. I'm still on there. We're still doing them, and we're still fighting for public access. But it's a little bit different now. Somebody asked me to do this. There's not just one or two people that asked me to do this demonstration again. There was about 6 or 7 people that asked me to do this demonstration. This is an avocado seed, and right here I want to stick that in there. Okay. This is where the root is going to come out. Now, these tap roots right here, they grow really, really fast. And if you grow it in water, okay, this is a little tiny cup. It's got some water in there. You want the water to come right up to the edge. I know I don't grow them like that anymore. I actually grow them in a little tiny mound of dirt that comes up to the rim right here. Okay, to the rim right here. And I've got just the very tiny, where the root shoot comes out and it grows into the ground. Now, when avocados seeds are new, and this was from a very ripe avocado. By the way, avocados, they originate actually from South America. A lot of people say, well, do they originate from Hawaii? I'd hesitate to say that they do, because a lot of people think that avocados were brought over. Okay, this isn't that ripe, so I have to wait a few days to get the seed. It has to ripen up. This is green. The skin on here, it has to be black. I'm going to put that in there, along with the avocado tree that is actually growing in here. This is a bonsai tool right here. All right, I'm going to lift this down. See, hopefully you can see this. This is an avocado tree that I grew right in this plant, and hopefully you can see this. The seed, here's the top of the seed. I didn't put it up to the rim, but I had the soil a lot lower. It goes down. I hope you can see that. Okay. This is growing right in the plant, and they do grow fast. Okay. They're very fast growers. These trees in their native lands in Mexico, they'll get up to 25, 30 feet tall. Inside a house, no, not really. All right, let me show you this one more time here. I'll lift this down carefully. This is a double-branched avocado. You can see the leaves on there. It looks beautiful. It's growing just great. It's in a nice, hot, warm, sunny place. Because you got to remember, if it's native, originally from Mexico, it's going to be warm. It's going to have a lot of sun. So, oh my gosh, geez. Folks, I don't know how this is possible. I don't know if you could see this. Can you see this? It's not a bug. It's not an insect. It's an aster seed that somehow got in the top of the avocado right here. That's all right. I'll just chuck it someplace else. I don't know how I got up there, but I did. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna blame it on my cat. All right. So this is what an avocado tree looks like. This is a very young tree, and it actually has been growing in this same pot for not quite 2 years, about a year and 10 months or so. And as you can see, if I would pull this out of here, you're going to see the roots that are going to go around the pot like this. Okay, they're going to look like, well, hopefully you can see that. It grows around like this, okay? It doesn't go straight down. It's going to take the shape of the pot. Therefore, at the end of this summer, I'm going to have to put it in a little bit bigger pot. Or one thing I can do is I can add more soil to the bottom of this pot, get the whole bulb all the way up here. It'll have a little bit more room for maybe 6 months. But at any rate, I'm going to do a little bit of spray in here. These guys, they love to be sprayed. You gotta remember that in the native lands that they grow in, the native lands, there's heat. It's always hot. They don't get winter unless it's like maybe the foothills of something, the foothills of a mountain or, whatever, what have you. By the way, I have a hibiscus bush that's growing in the corner over here. It's so big I really can't dig it out of there, but it's got lots of hibiscus on it. A nice pink hibiscus. And since we're getting very close to St. Patrick's Day, well, that's green. At any rate, never mind. The hibiscus bush is doing good. Looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to get to my avocado, and then I'm going to switch to a couple of other things. Hopefully, we'll be okay. This won't take too long. Now, granted, these are sharpened up chopsticks. Chop suey. Okay, you want to put this about 2/3 the way down from the top, not in the middle. And you want to get 3 locations. Okay, here's going to be one right here. I'll put it down here like this. Stick it in there. And you got to kind of stab it, because if you don't, well, it won't work. It won't go in. All right, now normally these things, this is the avocado. Normally these things, okay, I'll make sure that first one's in there nice and tight. This is what it's going to look like. Now these, it's sitting right at the top. I'm going to put a little bit more water in here. And all you need is a little bit of water on the bottom. And you got to keep that level of water up there. Okay, let me move this back a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. You have to let that set like that. I will let it set. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go buy some toothpicks and replace the chopsticks with toothpicks. This is just for demonstration purposes. But this is one way of doing it. Now, I successfully germinated an avocado seed right in the dirt without doing this. A lot of people think that's the only way to do this. I will do this demonstration again with toothpicks and possibly even more. I have another avocado tree around here, but it's even bigger than this one. And I'm not going to grab it. It's just too big to show. Plus, we are discussing a much larger area. I actually am going to be getting my greenhouse back up and running again. Like I said before, it's laying on its side in the yard. And a lot of people have come up to me, just scores of people. They follow me, not only on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube now, but they remember me from the early days of Wausau Public Access TV. And like I said, folks, I've been doing this on Wausau Public Access TV for almost 40 years. I have thousands of episodes. And some of the guys that I work with, they're trying to figure out how to get them from DVD electronically switched over to Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay. And thanks everybody, the new viewers on YouTube. Thank you. I made a mistake. I've said many times, I don't know what I'm doing. I normally sit in front of the camera and they figure out the rest. Well, this is just me. I'm Master Gardener Bernie Lonay. And of course, as you know, and the name of the show is It's Not Work, It's Fun. That's me right there behind the avocado tree. And yes, this is a full avocado. I'm not going to show you how to plant a seed right in the soil. I will do that at a later time, but it definitely works. And it is actually shorter germination time. Now, when I finally get through doing this, what I'm going to do is show you a couple different things. I'll be showing some stuff out of the, not just yet, okay? I want to get back to a little bit back to the Dawn soap. That's all I'm going to do on the avocado. Make sure this water is filled up to the very bottom of the seed so the root starts shooting out. It'll start shooting out in 10 days or less. Okay, so getting back to our PCB, okay? PCP, I should say. Phencyclidine, Proactivate or Proactive. That's from Dawn Dishwashing Liquid Soap. And I want to talk a little bit about garden beans. Now, garden beans, they're called Phaseolus vulgaris. This is what they're bush beans, okay? They're blue bush beans. This is a blue bush bean, and this is a short, compact bush, and this is a little bit bigger bush. This is called the tender green bush bean. The bushes are a little bit taller, and they're a little bit different color. I'll show them to you side by side. But the beans, okay, the beans are basically going to look the same. All right, so they're called Phaseolus vulgaris. And what that means is basically, here's a bean. They're very, very quick growers. You want to plant something where you want to get quick food within 6 weeks. They're two different heirloom. These are heirloom beans, but they actually look the same, okay? I will plant that probably in my great big, huge, I'm talking about a huge pothos plant. Pothos plant is, some people believe that it originated in Hawaii. I've done a lot of research, and there's a lot of people say, no, it was the Solomon Islands, and it was brought over there on ships. These are in the movies. Now, okay, I'm going to put these down. In the movies, and I don't have my pothos plant. I have to have a shorter version of this pothos plant because, folks, it is big and it is heavy, and there is no way I'm going to lug it down here. I'm not even going to dig out my hibiscus tree because it is more than a bush. It's actually a tree in the corner of my house, and it's huge. In the movies, when you would see something from Hollywood, you'd see a lot of pothos plants hanging and climbing, the big vines that are climbing up the temples in some kind of Roman setting. They're actually not from the Middle East, or they're not from Greece or the Roman area, where Rome was built. They're really not from there. The vines that they had way back when they originated, the vines that I know of back in that time, some were from India and actually some were from China. And then the ones in the Middle East, the most vines that they had were not pothos vines. They were grapevines. So that's something that I'm going to get back to at a later time. But right now, the beans, right here, the beans, these Phaseolus vulgaris, or legumes, they're called legumes, okay? That means an edible bean bush plant. That's all it means. These are really, really easy to grow. You don't want to plant them too early. And as I said, my grandmother, when I got the gardening bug when I was, I don't know, probably 4 years old, one of the neatest things she showed me was she would take her dishwashing soap, and I put a drop of that in here. If there's anything crawling in here, it's not going to hurt the plant, okay? The soap comes out of there, okay? People say, oh, yeah, there's a lot of phosphates, a lot of salt and stuff in there. Well, in Dawn liquid dishwashing soap and Lemon Joy, there's not as much as you would normally think. And so she would take the dishwashing soap, and when she didn't have enough water, from the well, they had to pump the water, okay? They had an electric pump, but they still, sometimes in the wintertime, they had make sure it was heated up, and pump it by hand. Okay. So she would, not to waste the water, or even if, the bath water wasn't too dirty, and a lot of times it wasn't, she would scoop it out and she would water the house plants. And then she never wasted the water. They never wasted the vegetable peelings or anything like that. And one of the things that would happen is she would use that extra water to go water her plants. So that's why I'm showing you the Dawn dishwashing soap, because that is the gentle stuff. This is right here. And Lemon Joy, that's a pretty good one too. This is the gentle stuff they wash baby ducklings off of after they get into the oil, or say some little puppy or kitty in somewhere gets stuck in a big puddle of oil. No matter how it happens, they do that. Okay. And it's not really an insecticide. I explained before how the insecticide worked, is that the soap bubbles themselves would actually encapsulate the eggs of the insects that flew in there and form a bubble around it, and then the eggs couldn't germinate, they couldn't hatch. So anyway, that's how Dawn actually became kind of known, at misnomer, as a an insecticidal soap. Kind of is, kind of isn't. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on a little bit. I've got one more thing. All right. I've talked about tools before. I had my regular loop neck shears and my hedge shears. This is a Black & Decker. It's basically a handheld tree saw. Okay. It's got a nice sharp blade. And this is for reaching up above. Now, this is a safety button right here. Okay. Black & Decker is very, very good company. Here's the safety button right here. Okay, you press that in, and then you can go like this and get it back down there. Okay, get it back there very carefully, back down there like that. Okay, then you press it to release it. Okay, always away from you. And I have a little piece of string tied around it on the end. Okay, this is what it looks like. Now, because it's very, very, for me, it's very convenient. See, it folds right into the handle. It looks like that. No, I'm not going to saw off my avocado tree. People say, hey, man, you should cut it off, man. No, I'm not going to do that. All right. So I made the mistake on YouTube of saying that my videos were for kids only. I didn't realize that when I checked that box that it meant you can't make any comments. So I'm not going to check that box anymore. I didn't know that. Like I said, I'm new at doing it this way. And yes, I still make my regular TV shows for Wausau Public Access in north central Wisconsin with my regular technicians. And they're very, very helpful. These are a great group of people. All right, so this is a tree handsaw, okay? And this is for when you, and I'm not going to do this, there's a thick branch, you take it and you go like that, okay? It's so you don't have to have a great big huge saw. I've got the big huge tremendously long tree pole saws. I can't even fit that in here. I'll have to show some of that stuff outside because I've got a couple of them. And then I have the regular weed string trimmers, the electric ones. Then I have a big huge weed string trimmer. It's called a marsh or a pond string trimmer. It's very, very powerful. It's gas, and you just walk behind it. It's extremely powerful. But this is for little jobs, okay? And this is something that you can hang while you're working. You can hang it from a branch. And as I said, when you pick out a tool, now this is pretty heavy duty. It's got a little bit of weight to it. And actually, it's not as flimsy as you think. The blade is, it's nice and thick. It's very strong. Okay. Some of these cheaper ones that you get by these other companies, the blade will go back and forth, really in the wind. This is very thick. It's very, very sharp. It can be a dangerous tool. Don't let it be. Don't use it that way. But it's got some heft to it. And it's got a nice thing here on the end where I can put my fingers curl around it and my hand won't slip, okay? So pick these tools up in the store. Don't take them out of the wrappers or whatever, however you do it. Lift them up over your head and see how heavy it is. See how hard it is for you to lift it up over your head. when you're grabbing, when you're pruning on a bush, a big bush, or a kind of a lower tree to the ground, or you're on a small ladder, you're going to have your hands up over your head. And you got to see how much this weighs and how much, many times you can use it before your arms get tired. Because you're going to grab the branch, like this, and you go like that, okay? So see how much that weighs and if you can lift it up for long periods of time. Now, I have a lot of tools. Over the years, I've developed a lot of tools. This is a really nice tool. I love this tool. I actually have a shorter tree handsaw. The blade only goes to about here. Okay, it's only about that long, and it's for bushes, kind of thicker bushes and things like that. All right, so it's got a nice grip on it too. You can grab it really hard like that. You don't want you want to be careful with it. You don't want your grandchildren picking it up and swinging it around, acting like it's a sword fight. So you got to be really careful about that stuff, and be really careful. Always safety, safety, safety. I'm gonna push the button in like this, and I'm gonna start bending it down. I'm gonna put it back in its position. Then actually it goes in like that. Okay. And when you hear that last snap, that's when it's connected. Now I'm gonna leave this hanging in here. I'm just gonna put this away, and I can use it whenever I want, but you always, I don't care what you have, what tool you have, you always have to be careful. It's always safety, safety, safety. Okay? Now, one more time. This is one way of starting an avocado seed. I'm going to show you how to do the soil part in the soil without doing this at a later time. There are two different ways to do it, and I have been successful at both. And if you want a quick growing vegetable, start some beans out at not early spring, late spring. Around here, our early spring is right around May 1st through May 10th. Okay, we're up in north central Wisconsin. Until next time, be green, and remember, it's not work, it's fun. You're having fun. Remember that, okay? Bye bye, folks. I will talk to you later.